Final word, Her Excellency in Kabul. Lieutenant Colonel Shirras, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Fan. Entirely unsurprising, this should be one of the questions that we face. Civilian casualties is a critical issue. It's a very contentious matter in Afghanistan and internationally. It's not an issue which I think is necessarily very well represented internationally. NATO's task in Afghanistan is to contribute to a safe and secure environment. It is an unfortunate consequence of the battle that we're engaged in that innocent civilians are killed. And NATO undoubtedly has, its actions have led to the deaths of civilians. The figures that we would estimate that we have been responsible for are considerably less than those which are normally touted in the media, but that's not really the point. The point is that any is too many. We take every measure we possibly can to reduce them, and we should be quite clear. We and the forces of Afghanistan are engaged with opponents who seek their actions to lead to civilian casualties. It's a very difficult military environment if you have an opponent who actually wants your actions to result. So in the last 2 weeks we've seen cases of civilians being held hostage in compounds which are then being used as a base for attack. And despite the very best efforts of NATO forces and Afghan forces, it is a sad inevitability that some innocent civilians will be killed. And I wouldn't therefore deduce that the very considerable increase in the number of NATO forces, and Dr. Burwell correctly points out additional US forces to NATO, will inevitably lead to additional civilian casualties. And I say that for two reasons. One is NATO's approach to operations is being continually revised, and that, I think, recently has had a significant effect on the rate of civilian casualties. And I also think that the way that ISAF will be employing these additional forces will lead to a more stable and secure environment within which the sort of engagements that we've seen leading to civilian casualties will be more difficult to mount. So I think we recognise, not just in terms of simple human suffering, what a contentious issue this is, but how important it is to the success of the mission. And I would assure the audience that every military option available to us to reduce this sad consequence of military actions is being taken. So yes, I think we will. The question of extra forces is an interesting one for the civilian casualty question and wider.